Hits and Misses, Mandalorian, Episode 2.
Okay, so by now we're assuming that you've watched episode 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian, and you know the big surprise that was at the end of episode 1, which is a Baby Yoda.
Yep, a very cute and very powerful, it turns out, Baby Yoda. So, Mandalorian Episode 2 just released on Disney+. We watched it, and it continues right off from where the first episode ends. And the Mandalorian is escorting his bounty back to his ship, and he is ambushed by a group of fellow bounty hunters. The same group of guys he just fought in the first episode with the bounty droid. And quick little fight scene. Look, I'm going to get into it here in a second because there's a lot of problems I had with this episode and a couple of things that I wasn't a big fan of. There were some very quick cut scenes that did nothing for the plot development. This felt like one big side quest from a video game. Like in video games, you've got your main objectives, and then you've got these side quests that distract you for a little bit of time, but they are nowhere aligned with the main objective.
I think this was all supposed to have been just some build up to let the Baby Yoda flex his powers. Like, it was all building up to that because after he got ambushed, he did get hurt, and Baby Yoda kept waddling over to him to want to try to heal him, but he didn't understand what the little baby wanted, the child wanted. And so he kept putting him back in his little bed thingy, whatever it was.
His orb/bed. Yeah, and that's the best part of this episode for me was the bonding moments between the Mandalorian and Yoda, Baby Yoda, and the little connection that they create along the way.
Well, the child's just watching him and all the battle sequences.
And and growing to like him because he ends up saving him. And everything in between that was weird for me. I liked so after the Mandalorian makes it back to his ship, he discovers that it's been ransacked and ravaged by the Jawas, who are like little weasels in the Star Wars lore, and they've got red eyes and they wear hooded cloaks and they talk funny and they steal stuff. So that action sequence felt very Indiana Jones-ish. He's climbing, rappelling on the side of their big mortal engines, like City on Wheels, that's going down this barren desert. The cinematography in this episode is really good. There's a lot of good vista shots, and it's got a Western feel to it, along with that music that we played at the top, which is really beautiful. Ludwig Göransson, he's like...
It sounds really nice.
It's like a Hans Zimmer Jr. It's really pleasant to listen to, and the score is beautiful.
So, like I was saying earlier, the reason why I think that it was all a lead up just for the child to flex his powers, because every time there was a fight scene or he got hurt or there was a battle or anything going on, it would flash over to the Baby Yoda, and you would see his expression, his face. He was growing more concerned and growing that bond with him more and more. So I think it was specifically only supposed to be about forming that connection and building up him to be able to do his little mind tricks.
Yeah,
he did later.
His Jedi mind tricks.
Yeah. And I think that's the only purpose of this whole side quest, was because every time he fell or got hurt, it would flash over to the child and we would be watching his face grow very concerned.
Yeah.
Wanting to help.
And that's all this episode did for me. Again, it wasn't like terrible. It wasn't a grueling experience to watch. It was fun, but it was one setting. The scenes were so minor. The plot was so thin. It's like you had one fight with the Raiders. You had one fight with the Triceratops looking thing. You had the Jawa sequence, and then he fixes his ship, and it's done. It's only 29 minutes.
And it felt like it was about 10.
It felt like it was 10, which speaks on the pacing
the last episode, for episode 1, I did mention that this felt like it was going to be a slow build.
It's only 8 episodes, though.
Well, I mean,
we're already a quarter of the way done.
Maybe it's going to be a slow build up into a certain point, but still, yeah.
They've already announced that season 2 has been confirmed, so I mean, this thing's got to be breaking some records. This particular episode cost $12.5 million to make.
That's crazy. And it didn't feel like
I don't see
happened.
the $12.5 million bucks. The Jawa, the tank, the fortress seems like it took up a big chunk of that. The fight sequences, the CGI.
Just got a note though, on all of his fight sequences, like his resolution, I guess, to keep getting back up. It's insane.
Yeah, he's a strong-willed character and not easily broken.
He does not stay down.
And yeah, I wasn't super crazy about this episode, but I like the sentimental build-up of the whole buddy vibes that we're getting with Baby Yoda and the Mandalorian, and his other friend too, the Nick Nolte guy. What's his name? Weird-looking lips guy who helped him rebuild it. Ulsi, something like that.
I don't remember, but it also started to show that the Mandalorian was displaying some caring characteristics towards the Yoda child too.
Yeah, he's got a human element to him, some emotion.
Yeah, it's pulling that out of him.
Yes, and it's got to do it quickly because again, it's 8 episodes and that's it. So I'm pretty sure this episode ends not on a cliffhanger or anything. They're just zooming out into space, going back. So there's going to be some drama decisions, I think, that he's going to have to make.
Of course, yeah.
And we're probably going to get a shootout with
I'm curious to see how it's going to go when he's got to relinquish the child once this bond has formed.
Yeah, I think that's a shootout waiting to happen, and then things are going to pick up in like the 3 or 4 episode range. Some people are going to be disappointed with this. They're not going to stop watching it, but it is a steep drop off from the quality of the first episode as far as the involvement and the really sucking you in, and the content. The main redeeming point of this again was the building of the relationship between Yoda and the Mandalorian, and the music was really phenomenal, strong high point. So I mean, we're anticipating episode 3 next Friday, and we'll be here for that. Sorry if this sounds grim and just not as excited about what we saw the other day with episode 1, but it's just not that.
I mean, I still enjoyed it for what it was. I know they had to have the episode to build that bond and show the human element to the Mandalorian because he's very cold, meticulous.
Business.
He has to be for his line of work. And it was very much so needed to
lighten it a bit.
That, and also to bring the child into himself for the series. Yeah,
I agree. I'm interested in seeing if it gets back to those episode 1 vibes, and if the runtime goes beyond 28 minutes. Otherwise, I don't know if I can get captive. The first episode's 40 minutes and this one's 28. I don't know if something this big in this grand of a scope can do enough in 28 minutes to make me...
Maybe it's going to be a slow burn across
multiple
seasons.
Yeah, it might be.
Like, it's not going to answer everything in season 1 with these 8 episodes. That's why it's going to,
it might be. So, Mandalorian, episode 2, check it out on Disney Plus, which is available worldwide. Funny thing about that, on my lunch breaks, I go into grocery stores and I get some lunch, and this has been the deadest week in grocery stores that I've ever experienced in my 2+ years of going to the same grocery stores for lunch soups.
Everyone's at home watching Disney Plus.
Everyone's at home watching Disney Plus. I went to a movie trading company just down the street tonight to rent a film on a Friday night, and the guys were telling me this has been the deadest Friday in a long time, and the thing that comes to mind is Disney Plus.
And for us here at home, because I'm home all day with our daughter, we haven't opened anything other than Disney Plus since we got it.
Telling you, it's a whole new world out there. Brave little toaster world.
Well, luckily we haven't watched that one.
That wasn't Disney, but anyways,
Yeah.
So
it's there. It's on there.
It is?
Yeah.
So let's use this time because there's not a lot to talk about with Mandalorian episode 2. Hits and misses, what we're going to be doing. Again, The Mandalorian's a great launching pad for this because we're going to watch every episode and we're going to have something to say about everything.
But of course, we're going to expand beyond that to just film in general.
Yeah, exactly.
Shows
Movies,
old, new, whatever.
Yeah, stuff from Scream Factory, Arrow. We watch a lot of horror movies, even when it's not Halloween season. A lot of movies that people have never heard of. Stuff we're revisiting from the '80s, the '90s, even some newer stuff. Just all the genres. We're just gonna talk about them and give folks our opinion on them from his and hers point of view, and we watch a movie every other night because it's a way for us to unwind and have a good time and turn our brains off. So we're looking forward to this series, and we're looking forward to where it's going and sharing these conversations with you guys.
Letting you know if everything we see is a hit or a miss.
Yeah, all that and a bag of
chips.
That
Chips.
Yeah, Doritos. Chips. Until next time.